All right. So in this video, guys, I want to show you how I go about creating full stack applications. Basically, applications that integrate a backend with a front end and make basically calls to an API to display that information from the backend onto the front end. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Hey, Alex, there is a lot of AI tools out there like Claude Code or even Lovable that can build the backend and the front end of an application and even deploy it and upload it to a domain and deploy to a domain and all that sort of stuff. But I do think that is still very, very relevant and very important to learn the whole process behind creating, building, ideating, and shipping full stack applications. Because maybe if you're creating an application for yourself, it is completely fine if you do it with AI tools. I mean, I do not really recommend that you only go with an AI tool because AI can make mistakes, and it has been proven in the past that AI does make a lot of mistakes, and you wouldn't want, for example, your API keys exposed on a public GitHub repo, for example. That would be very, very bad. But I mean, if you have a little bit of understanding of code and you want to build an application for yourself, probably an AI tool like Claude Code, like I said, Gemini, or anything like Lovable or something like that would be completely fine. But I want to show you the whole process behind creating a little bit more of a professional um, application. Okay, a little bit of a more professional process behind creating an application that I think is very important for me to share, because this is how I build apps on my day-to-day basis. It doesn't matter what it's for. If it is for a hackathon, it is for if it is for a personal project, it doesn't really matter. I pretty much use the same process for everything. And I want to give you guys basically an insight on my processes. So, yeah, without further ado, let's actually get into it. I'm just going to draw some stuff here. And the first thing that I would do, okay, so the first thing that I would do is go into this tool called V0. Now, V0 is basically an application that allows you to create a user interface. It allows you to create the design, okay, the design for your application, essentially. Now, when I have an idea for an application, I am not very good at design, so I just let AI handle all that work for me. Okay. Especially if it is, like I said, a personal project or something for a hackathon, I would let AI design the thing. And basically, I take care of the coding of the application and basically bringing that application to life. It wouldn't be the same in a production environment or in a very professional environment, because you will probably have a lot of moving parts, like, I don't know, design boards and basically designed patterns that you would have to follow. You would have a brand design, specific stuff that you would have to follow in order to meet that company's criteria and requirements when it comes to the design of an application or of an interface or anything like that. But like I said, for personal projects, it is completely fine. So the first thing I do is basically come up with the idea. Okay, I come up with the idea, and then I just let AI handle all the design stuff behind the scenes that I don't really need to take care of. Okay, after I have got the design for my application, the second thing that I would do is basically decide the tech that I'm going to use for that application, because not all applications use the exact same technology. Maybe for a front end only application, you're going to use something like React, for example. If you want to integrate a backend, you're going to use something like Express. Okay, but you don't have to use the same technology for every single application that you create. Okay, it doesn't work like that. So the second step for me is decide the technology that best suits the needs for that specific application that I'm going to be building. After I decide the technology, the third thing that I would do is actually open up VS Code, my favorite code editor in the world, and basically start coding. Okay. And yes, I would do a lot of this manually, because I still think that it's super important for me to practice my coding skills. I do think it allows my brain to solve more problems than if I just let AI completely take over. Now, don't get me wrong, I do use AI in this section as well. I'm not bloody stupid. I know AI is there to make our lives a lot more easier and a lot more productive. But I do want to find a, a balance between AI and myself and the human. Okay. I want to find the gap where AI is going to make me more productive, but it's not really going to make me dumb. Okay. I don't want AI to make me dumb. I still want to understand what I'm coding on my code editor, because at the end of the day, every architectural decision on my application will be done by me. AI is not going to make those sort of decisions for me. And as the responsible person for that application, I do want to make sure that, AI is helping me, but it's not doing all the work for me. Because at the end of the day, I have to be the one with the, the little brain here, just thinking of ideas of, hey, like, oh, let's implement this stuff in the application. Okay. So it is going to be me, the one that comes up with the ideas, and AI, the one that is going to help me be more productive. Okay. And the fourth thing that I would do is basically code all the project and push it to GitHub. Okay. I would obviously not push it all at once. I would do little commits along the way, but I would push it to GitHub, so I have my full GitHub repo with all my code, and obviously the very important README file as well. Okay. Now, I do find AI very useful to create the README files for my projects. It does it super, super good, even better than me. And I'm not ashamed of basically saying that I use AI to write the READMEs for me. Because at the end of the day, I think if there is that 80/20 in a project where you want to use AI to do the bits that are less productive for you. And I definitely think at least the basic or the main structure of the README is not one of the most productive things that you would do in a project anyway. So I just delegate that to AI. So yeah, once I got all my GitHub repo ready with all the code, I basically go on to the last step. And the last step is deploying the project. I just deploy it, and I will use a couple of websites to deploy my project basically. For the front end, I would use Vercel. Now, for me, Vercel is the king when it comes to deploying front ends, because it gives very, very easy access to GitHub. It's got a very seamless integration with it. And for the backend, I would actually use a website called Railway. Now, if you haven't used Railway in the past, for me, is one of the best, if not the best, platform to deploy your backends, because it again connects seamlessly with GitHub, and it allows you to deploy your backend in a super, super easy and straightforward manner. You have very easy steps that you can follow, and they don't have problems with, for example, upkeep. You don't have to pay a lot. I think I pay like $5 a month or something like that. It's something really ridiculous to have your applications running there for basically ever, 24/7 essentially. And one thing that I would say is that I always put my backends and my frontends and my GitHub repos on different folders. So I would have a front end folder and a backend folder, just so that it's easier for me to then do this deployment bit right here. I would deploy the front end part on the front end folder and the backend part on the backend folder. So as you guys can see, it's not a very difficult process at all. I just start with V0 to give me the design of my application, because I don't want to do that. I'm not very good at doing that, and AI does it better than me. But remember that it would be much different if we were on a production environment within a big company, for example. They would probably have specific things or specific criteria that you have to meet every single time that you create a design or an application. Then the most important thing as well is decide what technology you are going to use. Open up your code editor and start coding. I don't care if it's VS Code or if it's a cursor or anything like that. Then upload all your code to GitHub. It is extremely important that you push it up to GitHub so you can basically see all the changes that you have been committing over time. And then essentially deploying the full application to a platform. For me, for the front end, it's always going to be Vercel, or at least for now is Vercel, and for the backend is Railway. So yeah, I mean, it is not very complicated. It's pretty straightforward. But again, I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Like I said, I didn't want to do a super long video here. I just wanted to go straight to the point to hopefully give you guys some value in here. And yeah, if you found this helpful, just make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.